The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Firestorm Games, and by the most generous donations of you, the listener. We'd like to thank everyone for their continued support of the show. We really do appreciate it. Meeples and Miniatures, episode 275. Small Scale Sci-Fi, with hosts Neil Shuck and Mike Hobbs. This show was recorded on the 21st of August, 2019. In a world of tabletop gaming, two men stand alone. You've heard of Hobbs and Shaw. Now the Meeples and Miniatures podcast presents to you Hobbs and Shuck.
What the hell was that? What are you doing, Chuck? Have you gone mad?
Starring Mike, the Pebble Hobbs.
What about Pebble?
Well, Hobbs is actually Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
But, yeah.
Since Dwayne Johnson is somewhat large, obviously you got to be. I got to be a pet. You got to be slightly smaller.
Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
I don't.
No, it's going well. It's going really well.
And I think the only thing I have in common with the Staith is that we probably have as much hair as each other on our head.
Right.
Do you think that'll work as our new intro?
I think it needs a little bit of work just to tidy it up a little bit.
Okay.
But, I think it's got legs.
Right. Okay. So that's better than the Bummy Dwarf, is it?
No, because I don't know what you're talking about. Who's Hobson's? Whatever his name is.
Hang on. Have you never seen the Fast and Furious films?
No. Why would I want to watch a Fast and Furious film?
Right. So you are aware of who Dwayne Johnson is, and you are aware of who Jason Statham is?
Yes.
Good.
Vaguely.
Right. Okay. So think of it as... Because it's an offshoot. Why am I explaining a film to you on a wargaming podcast?
I don't know. I'm a bit confused where we're going with this.
It was just the fact of it's a film that's been out in... It's a summer blockbuster with Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, and Idris Elba as the bad guy. He's a and it's been kind of the summer kind of. It's a film that's kind of almost taking the mickey out of itself.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's a kind of action buddy cop film, except they're not cops, and it's just one of these fun kind of action films. Right. It's been the trailer's been all over the place, and you know nothing about it whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
And it was just it's just the fact it was called Hobbs and Shaw, and we've got Hobbs and Shaw, we've got Hobbs and Shuck.
Right. Tenuous at the moment. Yeah, good. I love it. I think as this is probably our best, intro ever. I bet Commode and Mayo are shitting themselves.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think we'll be invited on to replace them during their summer break anytime soon.
No.
Right, okay. Yes. Never mind.
Can we go back to gaming now?
Can we go back to gaming? Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast.
If you're still there.
If you're still there and not going to go, what on earth are these two guys on about? This evening it is just myself, the Bummy Dwarf, and my good friend and gaming compatriot. It is the Welsh wizard himself,
Mike the Pebble Hobbs.
Sorry, mate. I've just had a sudden thought.
Please tell me you haven't pressed record.
No. What on earth is our Deacon going to do with that?
Oh, he doesn't need any help.
No, he doesn't. No. Okay, fine.
Hi, Aid.
I hate. Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the show. This evening it is just myself and Mike. We have decided that in an effort to try and record a show under 3 hours long, we'll not have a third chair.
Yeah,
and we'll see how we get on.
Let's get rid of these pesky guests who keep turning up and talking proper stuff for hours on end and keep us entertained. Well, I've none of that.
And it's nothing to do with the fact that we're completely disorganised over the summer. Nothing, not at all. Not in the slightest. No. Right.
Nope.
So this evening, what have we got to chat about? Well, we're going to catch up with the fact that I went to Partizan at the weekend, and a couple of things that have kind of come out of that and what have you. We have our usual confessions and hobby sections, and for the main part of the show, we're being incredibly current, aren't we, Mr. Hobbs?
We are, yeah. We are answering a listener question. One question, we can get a full show out of this.
Yeah. So there we go. Are we going to tell them what the question is?
No.
Oh, okay. Right.
Keep them interested. If you tell them too early, they might just turn off.
Indeed. Of course, at this point, they might have actually just gone and read the show notes. But there we go.
Well, depends. You could be really clever and go, we answer a question from a Twitter user, listener. And don't tell anybody. Keep a secret.
But I normally give the content of the show away in the show title. Never mind. Okay. I'll think of something. Leave it with me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right, okay. So, there we were. It's last weekend was the Other Partizan. Good grief! It's the middle of August, and we're back into shows. I mean, and of course, wargaming shows in the East Midlands are like buses. You don't have any since May, and then 3 come along at once. So last weekend was the Other Partizan. On the 1st of September, we've got Hereward in Peterborough, and then 3 weeks after that, we've got Chilcon Derby. So 3 shows in the space of 5 weeks. Now, apparently, this is the last show of the Partizan that they are having in August. They had to move to August, if you remember back in a while ago, because when they moved venues to the Newark showground, there were some scheduling issues around dates, and normally the Other Partizan happens in September, the first weekend in September, and they couldn't get that date. So they moved early. So they moved to the previous. They moved into August, and then that September date was grabbed by Hereward. Anyway, as far as I'm aware, next year the Other Partizan is actually going to end up in October, which is which is actually going into the slot that has effectively now been vacated by Derby Worlds. Since it has now become apparent that the 1 year hiatus of Derby Worlds last year, Derby Worlds 2019 does not, unless someone wants to correct me, does not appear to have materialised. So this is after the infamous Derby Worlds 2017 in Bruntingthorpe. If you remember that show, yes, So that appears to. Well, I mean, it appears to be the fact that was the show that kind of perhaps maybe has killed the Derby Worlds. So as I understand it, next year the Other Partizan will be on the first weekend in October. Again, confirmation, but I believe it's going to be the first weekend in October, which is the old date for Derby Worlds. So, Other Partizan, last weekend, I went along with my other mate Dave, and didn't have well, I had one thing planned to purchase, which we'll come on to in our confessions. As I think I've said previously, shows have pretty much ceased to be about going to a show to buy stuff, and these days is much more about going to a show to as a social experience, because funnily enough, you tend to meet up with a whole load of guys that you meet up with at your local shows. And since we have 4 or 5 in the year in a similar sort of area, it's a chance just to kind of pretty much everybody's going to be there. So it's a great time just to spend most of the day wandering around and chatting to people, and looking at the odd war game. But yeah, and especially this year, it was very much a case of just wandering around, talking to people. It's a brilliant way to spend a day.
It is. Sounds perfect. I don't think I agree with you on the not buying anything stuff. I believe in supporting our local traders. What sort of communist are you, Neil?
No, I didn't say I don't buy stuff. It's just to say it's like it has ceased to be the primary reason for attending a show, except of course, especially of course, where you're in the situation where you're picking up something you pre-ordered to save on postage.
Mm-hmm.
And it is always a case of you wander around and perhaps see something that you hadn't planned on and kind of go, "Oh, what's that?" And that usually happens. Yeah.
For me, about 30 seconds after I walk into an event, usually.
Yes. Yeah, it took me about 2 minutes this year. But that was primarily because I was distracted talking to Sam and Tony on the Westwind stand first, before I saw my unplanned purchase of the day. But more of that later. But no, so anyway, great time had at the Other Partizan. An awful lot of, for want of a better phrase, lardies around at Partizan at the Other Partizan this year.
They do tend to flock together.
Indeed, they do. So not only was Rich running his, I think it was his, one of his Gemblo Gap games in the participation area, but actually there were no less than six lardy games on at Partizan at the Other Partizan. So we had Rich, Chain of Command. Mm-hmm. We had friend of the show, Matt Slade. Hello, Matt. He was running a 1941 Desert War. It was his Shawaddy Waddy game.
Mm-hmm. I played that. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, is that the one with the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was good. Mark 4 or Mark 5.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah.
So he was running that. Then there was the Lockerstone War Group were doing a Pacific War I Ain't Been Shotman game.
That did look nice. I saw pictures of that.
It won one of the best. It won one of the best in show games on best in show games on the day. It was very nice indeed. And then obviously on the 8-bin Shotman front, we had the latest pimped up iteration of Bloody Omaha from Mike Whittaker and the guys at Peter War Games.
Mm-hmm. A classic show event game.
It is, but it does seem that every time it comes out, it's changed. I think Mike just keeps on
making it nicer,
and buying extra bits. And at one point, he was turning around saying, "I really need to get a Higgins boat with a ramp that's actually down as opposed to one that's up." But there was that, and then there was the guys from Harrogate, Sorry, your club name escapes me. But they were running an interesting one because they were doing a variation of Sharp Practice. May have been Romans and Gauls. It was definitely Romans and something.
Yes, yeah, the ancient version of Sharp Practice.
Ancient version of Sharp Practice, indeed. That was, I mean, beautiful scenery as always. I mean, these are the guys that did the Retreat from Russia a couple of years ago, and they all. I mean, their scenery is always wonderful. That their games are a spectacle. They are, and their participation games. So, but their tables always look fantastic. And so that was something a bit different. And then, of course, we had Mr. Simon Walker.
Hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon, with his Trumpton Riot games,
which I really want to play.
Which you couldn't so much see as hear throughout the day, because yes, he did what he did at Market Larden, and he brought along his MP3 player, and at various points throughout the day, you had Mr. Kant breaking into song, or things like the Reveille from Pippin Fort and stuff like this. Yeah, when we popped along to see Simon, at one point there was a case. There was actually a point where we looked on the table and went, "What are all those sheep doing in those trucks?" And he looked at me and said, I've recently discovered that the guys at Pippin Fort are actually members of the Welsh Guard." And left it at that. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Yes, but yes. So there were 6 Lardy games on, and obviously loads of others as well. I mean, it was we had the Simon Miller was there with the To the Strongest game that he had put on at Salute. There was a couple of other To the Strongest and also for King and Parliament games there as well. Loads of different bits and pieces. There's a very nice video done by Dan Norcross at War Games Illustrated, giving an overview of the games on, and I have to apologise for the sight that you see after about 30 seconds, because I'm in shock. I do apologise for the shock that might give the listeners. Because funny enough, they catch myself and Mr. Hickman talking to Mr. Slade right at the start of the video. But that's worth having a quick look. War Games Illustrated did a couple of videos and what have you. And I must admit, I didn't take a lot because of the social aspect of it. I didn't actually stop and take a look and take photos of most of the games this year. It was much more about I was much more actually looking for people as opposed to looking for looking for games. But that was achieved, and so thank you to everybody who stopped and chatted. I always wanted to say a quick happy birthday to Craig Hartmell, who because he was celebrating his 60th birthday.
Happy birthday, Craig.
On the day. And I have to apologise to Carl Pemberton because it was his birthday on the Saturday and I didn't get a chance to go and say happy birthday to him. So, a belated happy birthday, Carl. But yes, Mr. Cartmel choosing his 60th birthday to spend it at War Game Show. There we go. What a hero.
Well, why not? Let's make to spend a birthday.
He's got a very nice hat.
Good.
Apparently it was his sole purchase from the UK Games Expo. He has a red wizard hat, which he has he asked the people to customise. So it is red. It has wizard on the hat.
It's the only way to spell it.
Indeed, it is. He took a picture of me with it on, so I'm sure at some point we need to get a picture of you with it on.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was that was my main experience at Partizan. It was just the fact of wandering, just having lots of conversations,
Cool.
and just catching up with. It was a brilliant day, absolutely brilliant. Interestingly, though, as part of that,
didn't you win an award?
Well, several of us did. Several of us did. As we went to see the aforementioned Mr. Simon Walker, we were awarded the Order of the Snowflake.
Congratulations.
Which we were very proud to wear. Which, if people are not aware of what on earth the Order of the Snowflake is, I think Mr. Hobbs, you have a little bit more of an idea of this. Because this comes out of what we were talking about on the last show, or at least at the start of the last show, or at some point we were talking about, something that happened on Twitter.
Well, let's just say that Mr. Clark from Two Fat Lardies, if you listened to the oddcast recently, you'll know that Rich is very keen on inclusivity in wargaming. Everybody's equal. Every game is valid. As long as people have fun, that's all that matters. Which is something I completely agree with. And Mr. Clark is a very wise man. And, well, there's been a few eruptions, and a well-known Wargames forum, a post was made by the person who runs it, saying that a certain person has asked for that forum to be nicer to people, and the crowd on there decided to deal with it in a particular way. And then when Rich turned around and said, well, I'm actually the person you've been slagging off and calling a snowflake, suddenly lots of people started backtracking, because what did he even say about Rich? Is that he's very, not outspoken, but he's very straight with the way he speaks.
Indeed. And
he won't call a spade a spade.
And
he doesn't, you can't really, well, Richard isn't a snowflake.
I was going to say, there are many words that you could use to describe Mr. Richard Clark.
Yes.
The word snowflake never even comes anywhere.
No. So it's sort of been picked up now as a badge of honour. For people to say, well, if Richard's a snowflake, so am I. And, well, I think it just...
But, interestingly, that whole conversation and some of the offshoots of that... Yeah. And then what other people jumped on board with. Especially when you start... When, people go, oh, well, that isn't proper gaming. Those aren't proper rules. That isn't a proper game.
Yeah. It irritates me. As soon as somebody turns around and says, that's not a proper game, or you're doing it wrong, I just want to walk away from them because they're usually idiots. Any game is valid. Any person who plays a game is valid. Don't care what it is, as long as people enjoy themselves. Don't care what it costs. The people who are enjoying it, that's the only thing that matters. So I'm fully behind Rich on this, and I think most like-minded people are.
And, just because a game takes place on a 3-foot by 3-foot table doesn't mean it's any less valid than anything else.
No.
Which is something that came up as and it was interestingly these games were accused of killing the hobby at one point, or at least contributing towards it. And it's like I'm thinking entirely the opposite at this point in time.
Yeah.
But this goes back to something that I know. Mike is. This is definitely something Mike has talked about a lot, and even points to things like the perceived greying of the hobby, and actually the reality as opposed to the perception.
Yeah.
And the fact that, okay, we are part of a hobby. Actually, our part of the hobby, moves on, and the hobby moves on. The hobby, let's face it, a lot of us don't game the same way that people gamed 30 or 40 years ago. Now, to some people, that's a bit of an issue. They'd much rather play with a set of rules out of the 1970s, as opposed to some of this modern rubbish.
And if they like them, great. Even, it's brilliant.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think we all have to appreciate that our hobby evolves, and we've talked before about is this the golden age of gaming? And as part of that, things change and evolve. And I think we have proven from a couple of our recent guests.
Yeah.
Right. But we've recently spoken to George and Alex on a couple of the shows. Now these are guys who are in their 20s, and couple of generations older. However, we don't know them, and especially Alex. I mean, George had the advantage of being a listener. Alex didn't know us at all. And we basically contacted him cold and said, we really want to, we love what you're doing. We really want to help promote it. Do you want to come on the show? And within 5 minutes of us starting to talk before we started recording, we hit it off because we have this common ground of a hobby. Okay, we're on one end of it and he's on another. And, okay, there are some things shared. I think, Mr. Hobbs, I think, had a bit more common ground with Alex than I did. But we have the gaming hobby. Just because we do different bits of it, it was still a common enough ground for us to engage with each other and actually have a really good conversation. And in all this stuff that's been going on, I think that's something that we need to make sure that we don't miss.
Yeah.
That just because you're at one end of a hobby and someone else is at the other end of the hobby, we're still gamers.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, niche within a niche, perhaps even within a niche for some things that people do. But don't, just because you enjoy doing historicals and somebody else, enjoys fighting with goblins and elves, it's no less relevant as part of the hobby.
Yeah, the thing is, don't look at the differences, look at the similarities.
Indeed. That's a very concise way of putting it. Yes, indeed. And funny enough, that was something that came up in another context with the conversation of the day. But when you have a group of people who have a similar interest, but they're in disparate bits of it, we all have common ground.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad game if somebody likes it. So there we go. And just to finish off, if there are some good places on the web where you can chat with like-minded people and have fun, and then there's bad places on the net where you'll just get worked up. I tend to stick to the nice places.
Indeed.
And I will take the out of people who come from the other places.
Because, yes.
Hi, Bill. If you're listening to this, hi, it's me.
Thank you, Mike.
You can edit that bit out if you want. Shall we crack on with the show? Or do you want to do another cinema advert? In a world gone mad.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay. Yes. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for our confessional. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is proud to be sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, purveyors of the finest rules, supplements and gaming accessories for all your wargaming needs. Most recent in their offerings include the September War Anniversary Bundle, marking 80 years since the start of World War II. This is a 2-scenario book set for I Ain't Been Shotgun. In accompaniment to that, you have a free PDF download of Blitzkrieg in the East Part 1 Poland, which contains a number of army lists for I Ain't Been Shotgun. This is a free PDF download. And a special offer on the Kriegspiel Compendium, rules, scenarios and a map for this classic wargame. Don't forget that you can get more Two Fat Lardies by viewing Lard TV on YouTube. The latest episodes include parts 3 and 4 of Taking the Gemblow Gap, a playthrough of General Darnay, Rich Clark finishing his build of the Blacksmith, and Sydney's Battlefield Challenge. Also, don't forget that for your listening pleasure, you can also download The Oddcast. It's available on Lord TV, but also via your podcast app of choice. Two Fat Lardies. Play the period, not the rules. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here once again. It is that time where we confess what we have been purchasing for the last couple of weeks. And we start with... I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I have made a terrible error in judgment. I failed to confess something on the last podcast.
Oh, in that case, you'll go first.
Because I forgot about it, and then after you start recording, I went upstairs and went, "Oh yeah, there was that."
This huge, great box.
3
huge, great boxes. What did you forget? Let's do your prezi then.
Okay. So my prezi from last month. What I forgot. A Kickstarter arrived, this relates into my Kickstarter nightmare. For the game. Yes, for the game with the end name that shall not be named.
Was that Nemesis? Has that turned up yet? It's due in August, isn't it?
No, Michael.
Hasn't turned up yet, is it? Oh, okay.
No, Michael.
Oh, I think you mentioned this last time, didn't you? Never mind. Sorry,
Michael. He has been.
Sorry
delayed,
for
yes. Anyway,
opening up old wounds there.
At the same time that Nemesis was running, there was another alien survival game running on Kickstarter. You may remember this, you may not. It was from All or Nothing Productions, the guys who brought us Gloom of Kilforth and 1066, and it was called Lifeform. And at the time, I decided not to back Lifeform because I'd backed Nemesis. And
good point. Yeah,
it was.
You had one. Yeah, you did quite a lot with Nemesis, wasn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And even more after I then subsequently played Ralph's version of the game.
Ah, so because Ralph got his early, didn't he? Because he went for two-way.
Because he went for two-way shipping. Yes.
Yeah,
as opposed to.
It's coming back to me now. Yeah.
Yes,
sorry.
as opposed to Mr. Tightwad who decided to save himself £10. or something like that. Whoopee do.
Still,
Yes.
stick by your decisions, Neil.
Yeah,
That's what I
okay.
say.
Yeah. Anyway, I subsequently decided to back Lifeform in post in the kind of late pledge. So I late pledged for Lifeform, and it turned up. And it turned up about 3 weeks ago.
Yay!
Very nice. So basically, if Nemesis is a bit like Aliens, ish, because there's lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Lifeform was kind of written as a bit of an homage to Alien.
Oh, Alien. Okay.
Yes. So you start. You play. Well, one person is playing the alien. Everybody else plays a couple of crew members. And funnily enough, you have a lot of the familiar crew. You have the engineer, and you have the warrant officer, and you have the science officer. Anyway, and the game takes place at the point where self-destruct has been set, and you have a number of turns to load all the basically load all the stuff, all the gear that you need into the lifeboat and escape. That is trying to escape with everybody else, Mr. Hobbs.
It's co-op, is it?
Yeah. I know this is a concept that is perhaps slightly foreign to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's trying to get off the ship with everybody else as well, as opposed to going, oh, there's an escape capsule. Oh, I think I'll take it, and lock the door. Bye, folks. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We'll have to explain this co-op concept to you at some point.
No, it's lost on me.
Yeah. So it came out, and there's a couple of expansions for it as well. There is a solo mode for it, because, as I say, in the basic game, one person plays the alien. It's not fully co-op; it's a one versus many.
Right. Okay.
And then there's an expansion for it as well, which just puts in a load of extra bits and pieces. Huge game board, but yeah, lots and lots of components, and that turned up. So, I forgot about that on the last show. So many apologies.
So, seeing it was a big game board, does it count as a board game, or is it moved over to a war game?
No, it's a big game board, but it does actually fit on a kitchen table.
That's
as opposed to a game that doesn't fit on a kitchen table.
That's okay. I'm just trying to work out where the fuzzy lines are.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, other than the fact, yes. First off, it's a board and not a piece of material. Although then again, yeah, they do have a neoprene mat. So yeah.
You just blow my mind now, Neil.
Yeah. Anyway, by the by, yes. So yeah, thank you for that one. Talking of that particular show, actually, that was kind of the result of one of my next purchases. Because subsequent to talking with Mr. Randall about Red Alert.
Sorry, have we finished your prezis now, or is it more?
Oh, that was it. It was just the one. Yes.
Okay,
so moving on. Yes.
Okay.
Subsequent to the Red Alert show, I did then go forth and purchase the 4 ship expansions for Red Alert, the aforementioned Red Alert. So I bought the Vice Admiral pack, the Dreadnought, the Carrier, and the supply ships. Mm-hmm. So yes, those were bought. Then my pre-order for the Warriors of Everdor. Anyway, it's the figure expansion to go with the Ember Crown new campaign for Journeys in Middle Earth.
Journeys, yeah.
Yes, 3 figures, which 2 of them actually, funnily enough, of those figures, as I realised, actually turn up in the first campaign, because Golgotar, who's the Orc Chieftain, is the big Orc Chieftain from the first campaign, who you meet in scenario. It's no spoilers because it meets in scenario 2. The other figure is actually somebody who again turns up in the first campaign. So I'm just wondering if he's in the Ember Crown as well. And then obviously you have this big Warg. So you have a named Warg, but nice figures. And I was fully hoping that by the time I was recording this, I'll have painted them. Yeah, that hasn't happened. But there we go. No. So got those, and another box turned up at the same time, funnily enough, which contains some strange coloured viscous fluid, which I was struggling to identify until Mr. Hobbs reminded me that it was in fact paint.
Paint, yeah.
Paint, indeed. Yes, paint. Paint. Yes, I remember that. Yes. So I backed a Kickstarter for back earlier in the it was back in the last year. A company called Miniature Paints. They were. I think they might have just kind of like been repackaging and rebranding a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I got some of their paints a while ago, and they were in glass bottles with screw top lids. The paint was lovely. The container was horrible. They now come in nice big plastic bottles with screw top lids. So they're not in danger of drying out or anything. And so the paints themselves are really nice. I'm just, would have been nice if they had dropper bottles. So again, it's one of these things you're going to have to, either decant them or just,
stick a brush in.
Stick a brush in, yeah. So, but they were very nice. So that happened. So there was all those, and then we get to my purchases from Partizan. Now, the first thing was just before Partizan, and for some, despite the fact that I follow Warbases on Twitter, I somehow managed to miss their announcement and didn't spot it for a few days. However, Warbases have just released a new set, a new scenery set. Apparently, this has been something they bought this set originally off somebody else, and then Glenn has spent the last year essentially remaking it because he's been converting it so it's all in standard sizes.
Right.
Okay. So this is something called Dark and Deep Dungeon. So it's an NDF dungeon set. So it's at the moment it's walls, doors, connectors thereof, archways. There's a couple of bits that they do a barrack set, an armory. They do a prison set, but they do a dungeon starter set. Now, you may remember back in the distant past that myself and Mr. Hobbs backed a Kickstarter for fantasy scenery, and I subsequently decided that there was no reason for me to keep this scenery because I wasn't going to be playing fantasy with it after all.
Oh yeah, you sent me some of that.
I did.
Mm.
Yes, I sent you some of that, and then yes, and then here we are, a number of years later, and I'm finding that yes, I needed said scenery. Now, I had planned to scratch build it all, and in fact, I had purchased most of the kit, as in most of the materials, I should say, to actually scratch build this out of blue foam, and especially being inspired by sort of some of the stuff like people like Joe at Outtro Miniatures has been doing. I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures that she scratch built effectively a keep wall for boas and badgers, which was absolutely brilliant. And then is it Gareth's been doing a load of scratch building as well?
Yeah.
Again, using the similar, and it looks brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I thought I could do that, and then this came out, and I kind of went, and of course, especially, I want to do 3D scenery for Journeys in Middle-earth, which includes a load of walls.
Yeah.
And so I was going, okay, well, I'll scratch build the walls. And then this came out, and basically, do I spend all the time scratch building the walls, or do I just buy this and assemble them? And especially with needing the stuff for Rangers of Shadow Deep as well, I went, you know what? Let's just bite the bullet and buy a new set of dungeon scenery. Basically dungeon scenery.
Yeah.
So I bought the Dark and Deep Dungeon Starter Set.
Good man.
Which is very nice. So I did that, and then yes, the purchase I spoke about having spent 2 minutes inside the door. Right. So I was chatting with Sam and Tony on the West Wind stand, and as we were perusing the stand, happened to notice that there are a few things, a few other things on sale. One of which happened to be a partially painted copy of Imperial Assault.
Okay.
Base game.
Yeah.
I went, ooh. And it was a good price. And I went, ooh. And
you bought it, didn't you?
As it turns out, I know the guy who was selling it. Because it's David, who I've met and played games against a couple of the Test of Honor days.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay.
And on the second one, he actually made some objective markers for me using Japanese coins. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was him, and he went, and I kind of so we chatted and we did a deal, and so I came away with a copy of Imperial Assault along with and most of it actually is purchased. It's painted.
Yeah.
So there we go. So I am now the proud owner. Finally, I mean I've been kind of putting it off, kind of going ever since we started playing Legends of the Alliance, which is the app-driven part of Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
I've kind of thought, well, and I'm a Star Wars fan. Josh is a Star Wars fan, and since we were playing, we've been playing that with my other mate Dave. Josh hasn't, another mate has, but I thought I've got to get this. Me and Josh have got to get. It's a no-brainer. We've got to do it sooner or later. But of course, I mean, originally I'd said I wasn't going to get him. If you remember back in the day,
I remember back in the day.
I said I wasn't going to get Imperial Assault because I decided to buy Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here we are. Yes, you can quote me, or you're like, oh, I thought you said.
No.
So there we go. So that was it, and I have. When was it? Oh, yesterday. I kind of got some more, a bit more paint. Actually, this is some of the stuff. It's actually from Wilco's. Some of their Wilco's match pots in various shades of grey for painting because they got a new grey range, and I thought, okay, I'll get some various shades for doing lots of different dry brushing and stuff for stone and what have you for scenery. That's me. I was yes. It's been some unplanned stuff yet again. I haven't backed any more Kickstarters, although I do have to pay for a couple before the end of the month.
Okay. Well,
how about you, sir? What have you been up to?
Oh, stuff, things. Kickstarter turned up. War and Empire. Did I mention this last time? It did turn up. Okay.
Oh, no, you didn't.
No. Oh. So my War and Empire stuff has turned up. So I've got a Byzantine and an Arab army, which will be heading its way in bits to Mr. Beamish at some stage soon. So yes, the lovely figures. So that was nice. Another tick in the old Kickstarter box. Well, I did a Forge World order.
I'm sorry?
What? I did a Forge World order for the first time in about 10 years.
Does Mandy know that you've taken a second mortgage out in the house?
It's only a small Forge World order.
Okay.
There's Forge World.
Okay, it's only a small remortgage.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We didn't need that extension at the back anyway. So, because Forge World have done a few weapons for Adeptus Titanicus.
See, so continuing your theme.
Continuing my 6mm till 2020 theme. Yep, so I picked up some weapons for Adeptus Titanicus in Forge World.
Cool.
And I did pick up some more Vanguard models because I was starting to run a little bit short. So I picked up
a little bit short. Define a little bit short. Oh, sorry.
I think that's more of a question for A. Deacon, really, who's very good at defining things that are a little bit short.
He was trying to make out the other day that he and me are the same size.
Yeah, no, you're much taller than him.
Somebody has a photo which may suggest otherwise, but I think, but I think they've been using the magic of in-lens trickery.
Okay, yeah,
and where the photo is taken from to make it appear that we are the same size.
I was Aid sort of stood 10 feet in front of you at the time.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I was running a little bit short of unpainted Vanguard models, so I bought some more just to bulk up.
What did you buy?
Tanks, big tanks, lots of big tanks.
It has to be said that their big tanks are very nice.
Yes. So I pretty much got everything now for the first part of my Burning the Prospero project. So
I like how you very quickly qualified that.
Yeah.
I've got everything that no, the first part of what I need.
Yeah. The first part. The Thousand Suns Army. These two little orders I placed for Vanguard will cover it all.
Right.
Did I say there was two? Yeah, there was 2 orders to Vanguard.
There was 2, not 1. 2. Okay.
Because again, the first one arrived, and they're nearly all painted, so I need some more. But they're all. That's it now. That's the Thousand Suns done. They're all undercoated, all ready to go.
So what you got to do next?
Next, I'm going to be doing Space Wolves.
Ah.
Yes, some Space Wolves. I've got a few to test, and I got some of another one of their ranges which I'm going to use for one of a third faction that was in that battle, small faction. So I got those to have a little play with. I picked up a copy of the Adeptus Titanicus rule set box.
Okay.
Because even though I've got everything, I just thought when you're playing a game, it's nice to have 2 of everything. And I needed some more cards and stuff, and I thought, well, I could just go out and buy the extra counters and data cards and stuff, but it worked out a lot more expensive, so I just bought the starter box. So I got that.
So that gives you an extra couple of warlords?
No, it's just the rules. It's like a rule.
Oh, okay. There's a rule starter box. Okay.
Yeah, so it's got the rules in there, the big battle templates that you use, spear of plastic, all the counters and all the cards and stuff. So it's all that and more dice. You can never have too many dice. Right. Other than that, and today turned up in the post a copy of the Monster Manual from let me pick it up. It's the 4th edition AD&D Monster Manual, which used to belong to somebody called A.J. Chumley, produced August 1979.
79?
Yep, the classic.
You mean 2nd edition?
No, it's the 4th edition of the 4th printing.
Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
sorry. The fourth printing
Of
of
the second edition.
Advanced
Advanced
D&D.
yes.
Right, so this is the yes,
The-
this is one of
the
one
classic.
of the classic with the old style Monster Manual artwork.
Yep, that's the one.
Yo,
And I think it's the one I used to have a copy of this from when I was a kid, and I lost it years ago. And I saw it on eBay for about 15 quid or so. And I thought, I'm going to have that.
bargain.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I've done. Lots of 6mm stuff.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Yes. Talking of 6mm.
Hello, Aid.
I did happen.
No, sorry.
Actually, I was going to say hello, Sean, as in God's Own Scale, Sean.
Oh yes.
Because I don't know if you spotted that little tweet from the weekend. I mean, kudos has to go for Sean.
Yeah.
For the fact that he managed in 6mm to buy a number of figures that weighed over 2 kilos.
Yeah, that is going some, Sean.
That is, I was going to say, yeah, that was exactly the phrase I was going to say. Mate, that is going some for 6mm.
That is respect.
Yes, indeed. Yes. 2 kilos of 6mm figures. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Yep, good man.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, shinies. Shinies. Any shiny? No. Partizan.
Partizan shinies. Oh, yeah. What'd you see?
Right. Okay. Okay. So something new, something old,
Something bold
and
as blue.
No, it was no. Sorry, it's 2 things new, 1 thing old, and something repurposed in pink.
Okay.
Indeed. Right. Okay. So something old. Again, aforementioned West Wind stand. I found myself looking at the Dwarf Wars range. And yeah.
Neil,
Oh dear.
You should know better.
I should know better, and especially when Sam, you're a very bad man, started mouthing things in my ear. It's like,
oh.
you want to, Neil. Come on, I'll do your deal.
What was it 3 for 2, Neil? 3 for 2.
The West Wind Dwarf Wars. I mean, yeah. Especially now, I'm kind of switched onto fantasy ranges a lot more than I used to be, and the Dwarf War ranges are very nice. And even, I mean, okay, they do races other than dwarves as well. Yeah, they do elves and goblins and a couple of others, but they also do several different types of dwarf. So you've got things like Celtic dwarves, and you've got Macedonian dwarves, and effectively a unit of Roman dwarves, and they all have their own, like, okay, you have your infantry, you have a command pack, and then you have a separate cavalry pack, and they're all mounted on different types of mounts. So you've got, like, the Scots are with rams, and the Macedonians have got lions, and all this kind of different cavalry options for dwarves. I mean, you don't normally think about dwarves having cavalry, but these actually look really cool. I was just looking at that range, kind of thinking, because I kind of looked at it a while ago, and I know someone was saying at some point that they're quite big and chunky, so they don't necessarily fit in with some of the people's ranges of some of the people's figure ranges, but they're very nice. They're very nice indeed. So I kind of caught myself looking at those and thinking, maybe, So that was one.
Yeah.
However, the other thing, and funny you should mention, because the word has been mentioned on the West Wind stand was a copy. A final production copy of the War and Empire rules.
Ooh,
the actual rule book. I have seen a printed version.
Blindness.
It looks very nice. Yes, so Tony's finished it, and I think the version they had actually was the the final proofread, the very, very last proofread before you go into production. So he had that copy. But and it looks, it's a thing of beauty. I mean, okay, it's been a long time in coming. If you remember back to the fact that that was meant to be produced as part of the original War and Empire Kickstarter, which was how long ago?
It was a while ago. They've had issues, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it's been about 3 or 4 years in development, this set of rules. But they are now a thing, and they should be appearing shortly. So yeah, I saw a production copy of that. Something else new I saw. You know how we saw those Vanguard figures on the table at Mike's painting clinic?
Oh yeah.
I shamelessly tweeted you a photo of something new that he put on the table.
Yep. Yep.
Because I saw it and thought, Mike was looking for spiky scenery.
Yes.
With spires and stuff. And I looked and went, oh, look! The Vanguard appear to be doing scenery that looks kind of vaguely spiry, in the scale that Mike might be interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks very nice.
Yes, I have my eye on
it. Did you know about it already?
No, that was a complete shock.
Yeah, I saw that one. Oh, that's interesting. So I must admit, I know no of the details because I didn't get a chance to have a talk with Mike about it. But I know no of the details of. I saw it on the table and thought, oh, that looks nice. So yeah, there was yes. So Vanguard are doing some scenery. Which looks very nice indeed. And then the something pink.
Yes.
And yes, now having tweeted about this, I then discovered that apparently this is not a new discovery. It is completely new to me. I'd never come across this before. Funny enough, I was chatting with Mr. Brown, Carl Brown. Hello, Carl.
Ah, Carl.
Yes, we had a very long chinwag, and we were stood not a million miles away from Mike's painting clinic. At which point I heard this strange buzzing sound. I thought, what on earth is that? And look round, and there was this contraption on the desk. It happened to be mixing a paint pot on it. And I was like, excuse me, it's like, Mike, what on earth is that? Apparently, but apparently it's a thing and people have been using them. They're agitators that are sold for mixing nail polish. It's basically an electric motor attached to a cradle with an elasticized thing that you put over the top, which people wouldn't normally attach. Put their bottles of nail varnish on to agitate them before applying nail polish. However, they make most excellent paint mixers, or so I am led to believe. I was like, what an idea! So they got that. So that was an out of the blue, shiny moment. I think I need to have one of those in my life.
Indeed,
an electric paint mixer, which is masquerading as something to do with nail polish. And I'd like to point out that in purchasing it, I will still have nothing to do with nail polish. But there we go.
Well, funny enough, I was going to buy one about 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. But we looked on Amazon, they were about 20 quid, and I thought, I'll just shake it with my hand.
Hang on, what was the quote you said? What was the quote you gave me on Twitter? It's okay. I have a perfectly decent wrist action.
Very good. I'm very good at shaking paint. Plus the fact that my paints get used quite a lot, so they don't need that volume of shaking. Indeed. So.
Yes. So that was my O-Shinies. You got any O-Shinies?
Yeah, a couple of things. Damn you, Games Workshop, yet again.
Go on.
They've got a few releases coming out for their Middle-earth strategy game. which I do like playing, and I don't play enough, and I want to play. And Matt and Ralph and Mark, if you're listening, can we play Middle Earth strategy game again, please, sometime soon on a Tuesday? On one of the Tuesdays that we're not playing any other game. So what have they got coming out? They have there's new figures for the undead, which is quite useful because I swapped my Rohan figures from my Battle of Pelennor Fields for more undead, so I got like 40 or 50 undead to paint. And now that
Oh, well, okay. So I now are you going to paint these as in Army of the
yeah,
Dead?
armies are dead.
Yeah. So a little bit like what? Kudos to Mr. Holmes. Hello, Luke. Saw him at Partizan, and then later that evening he tweeted the fact he'd painted a lot of his Army of the Dead. And went, these work really well and are really quick with contrast paint. I went, what you painted those after you got back from Partizan? Of course I did.
Pretty much one colour. Yes, literally. Spray and white, slap on a bit of contrast, water down. There you go. But yeah, so
yes, I was. Curse you, damn you, Mr. Holmes. Painting.
Yes, but they've also got coming out, which is a good idea. And Games Workshop seem to have picked up on this idea that profile cards are the way ahead. So they're doing packs of profile cards for all of the armies of the Lord of the Rings. So your profile card will give you the rules for one particular unit, and if it's a hero, it'll cover their might and all of their stats is basically on these little cards, which is a great idea because you don't have to flick in and out of books or, try and stick in a spreadsheet or whatever where you do it. So they'll be getting picked up. And finally, they're doing, it's probably a bit late for the show, but they're going to be re-releasing for 1 week only some of their unreleased figures from back in the day. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, you've confused me. Can you say that in English?
They will be releasing for 1 week, starting on the 24th of August, a load of sort of made-to-order figures from their old ranges, which they haven't re-released. So things like they did some like limited edition figures, little vignettes. There's one like the Death of Gothmog, which I think came out for about a weekend and is, you can't get, but you can order it next week and they'll make it to you. And lots of the other sort of special figures like that. They're going to be just doing a limited run for a week so you can buy them, which is nice. So I'll be getting a few of those. Just the characters that I don't have already. So yeah, and that's about it really. So I'm very infused by the next releases for Lord of the Rings, but I'm still powering on with my 6mm till 2020 stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Something else I spotted. A very shiny from the latest North Star newsletter.
Oh yes.
Artisan Designs have just come out with some new fantasy figures. I didn't even know Artisan did any fantasy figures. But yeah, they have a small range, and they've just released 3 Rangers and two Revenants, being armored skeletons. They've just come out, and it's like obviously they're very useful for something like Rangers of Shadow Deep, for example. And they're very nice. I mean, I do like Artisan Designs. Their figures are lovely, and these look great. So with those, along with the official range of Rangers of Shadow Deep miniatures, the rangers that come out for those are lovely stuff. Lovely stuff being produced. And of course, the other thing to remember with North Star is that Gaslands Refueled is up for pre-order. Yes. Everything. Yes. Yes. If you didn't get enough of Gaslands first time around, yes, the new, improved, bigger rulebook and everything, and North Star are doing. They're doing a range of plastic accessories now, weapon accessories and various other bits and pieces. So yeah, that's There's tons of stuff out at the moment.
Yes, lots of good stuff.
Excellent stuff. Right, okay. So, on that note, we will take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time to chat about what we've been getting up to in the hobby. Hi everyone, Neil here. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, I'm wondering, would you consider becoming a patron of the show? For as little as $1 a month, you can help support us in what we're doing with the show. For that, you can get access to a monthly question and answer show. That will also allow you to ask questions. If you pledge more, you potentially get bonus podcasts. And you never know, you might even get invited to be on the show yourself. If you want to know more details, please follow the link to our Patreon page, which is on the front of the website. That's www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we're at that bit of the show where we talk about what we've been playing and what we've been painting, and maybe touch on hobby tip, although I think I gave away my hobby tip in the confessions when I went, "Ooh, shiny." Nail polish agitator. Right, okay. So, moving swiftly on from what I've painted, because I still find myself very much in the doldrums from a painting point of view. The only hobby I've actually done, from a modelling perspective, has been I've assembled all my red alert ships from both fleets, because I decided that actually keeping them in the box and then assembling them each time you want to play is just too much of a ball ache. I spent an evening assembling all the fleets and all the expansions, and each fleet just about fits into a 4-litre really useful box. Just about. So I think I might hold off painting them for now. But yeah, so did that, and then obviously I spent a bit of time sorting out my box of Imperial Assault, although I haven't had a chance to card sleeve it yet, because I need some more card sleeves. Because I'm not as efficient as Mr. Hickman when it comes down to card sleeve purchases. I tend to buy them as I need them, as opposed to keep an outer of each in stock just in case.
Yes.
Yeah.
David keeps 500 of each just in case he might need them.
You know what I'm talking about because you've seen them on the shelf, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Yes. It's almost like, what colour do you need? Oh yeah, that would be that one there. Yes.
Yeah. At least I have the good manners to keep mine locked away in the cupboard.
Excellent. So, moving on to what I've been playing, and funny enough, as part of this, I've got a question for you. We played another go. We had another go at Into the Black boarding party, which is a cooperative. Well, you play a bunch of pirates invading a spaceship, and basically you have an objective. There are a number of objectives, and you can also have individual objectives as well for each player. So you play as a random crew member.
Yeah.
And the idea is to infiltrate a ship, and attempt to fulfill a mission. And usually you have some side, like for example, mine was to collect 8 bits of loot, before the end of the game, sort of thing. It's I know Dave backed it as a Kickstarter. It's it's a perfectly fine little game. The rulebook is horrible, but as a game, it's not bad. It's not bad. That's another little cooperative game. We had a game of Imperial Assault Legends of the Alliance, something we hadn't played for a while actually, but we are, I think, now coming towards the end of the Return to Hoth campaign within the app. that works really well. As a fully cooperative against the app, in much in the same way as with the Descent variant, or with how you might play Mansions of Madness, for example. It's slightly different because it's slightly less. It's slightly less managed, just simply because of the way the system works. It's a great game. It's a great way of playing Imperial Assault, and actually has went some way to the whole reason why I since bought a copy. But the app now, you've got they have, as well as for the base game, they have expansions, so you can use Return to Hoth and also Jabba's Palace. So, fun enough, those big box expansions might be somewhere on my shopping list.
Didn't doubt it for a second.
No, didn't. Yeah, but yeah, that's for a bit later on in the year.
Yeah.
Other Star Wars game. Played a couple of games actually of Outer Rim, which, as Mr. Randall reliably informed us, is basically it almost seems to be a bit of a reskinned version of Merchants and Marauders, but with the Star Wars theme, and had a great time. It's a great game. Outer Rim, really enjoy it. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Good theme. Really enjoyable gameplay. Lots of different ways to win. Who doesn't want to do the Kessel Run in the Millennium Falcon, even if I wasn't Han Solo? But, actually I had a mission to do the Kessel Run. It was great. And I happened to be flying the Millennium Falcon at the time. Great fun. Yeah, as I say, it's a game that it works well mechanically, but especially the way it works, if you happen to be a Star Wars nut and know all the characters, it just adds so much more to it. So yeah, playing Outer Rim. And then finally, this was funny enough, this was earlier this week, Monday night. I'll even poo-poo what you were about to say, because I actually suggested that we play it. And that was, we had a couple of games of Zombicide Black Plague.
Good man.
Yes, I said, Dave, we haven't really played that since you obtained your copy from Mr. Hobbs. Shall we give it another go? Because we played the intro scenario and that was about it.
Yeah.
And so we were playing scenario 2, which is the one where you have to find all the objectives and kill an abomination and a necromancer.
Yes.
Right. And having had our butt well and truly kicked twice, I do have to ask the question.
How?
Going back and reading, going back and reading the rules.
Yeah.
Are you expected, no matter how many players you play with, that all 6 heroes are in play?
Yeah. I would play with 6 heroes.
Oh, right, okay. So the fact that we were only playing with 1 hero each was kind of making it a bit hard for ourselves.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. No, no.
No, funnily enough, we all died very quickly.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, it'll ramp up quickly.
Yes, especially since, and people who know Zombicide will giggle at this. Okay, so one of the main features of the second map is that there is one building with multiple entrances that has about 7 rooms.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, because all the rooms are interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So when you open a door,
there's a lot of zombies in there.
Every single room spawns zombies.
Yeah.
And of course now we've got necromancers in there as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the first turn, someone went into another building and killed a zombie, and then discovered an objective. At which point, I then opened the door into the big room, and of course, because he'd found an objective, we went to yellow level on initial spawning in that room. Not a good thing to do. Not a good thing to do at all, especially when there's only the 3 characters in play. So the one thing I wanted to, so we died very, very quickly.
Yeah. Remember when you open a door, you use the character's level of the the character who opened the door, you use his experience level for the spawning.
Oh, I thought it was the highest level of any character in your party.
It is when you do this. It's something nothing to anybody who hasn't got zombie side. But basically, at the end of the turn, you do a zombie spawn.
Yeah.
From the spawn point, and you do that one at the highest level of any character. But when you open the door, you do it at the character's level who's opened that door.
Ah. But even so, the fact that we were only playing with 3 heroes.
That would have been a bad mistake.
It's probably, making a rod for our own back.
Yeah. The only way we found to win that game, and we've done it twice now, we won both times, but we were unlucky enough to find the abomination very early on. Like the first door we opened, there was an abomination.
That's exactly what we did. We opened the door and went, oh shit.
Yeah.
Run away.
What you're then going to do is basically get into that big house from the cellar and then make lots of noise at one part of it, because then you just attract all the zombies to that one point and they can't get into you. So they all just congregate outside, and then you got a bit of freedom then to sort of hunt around.
Oh, because they can't open the doors.
Yeah, they can't open the doors.
Yeah. Yes. So as long as so obviously you. As long as you kill off all the zombies that are inside.
Oh, yeah, kill them off.
Yeah.
And then make lots of noise, keep everybody else interested, whilst one or two of you sneak out and finish up the rest of the objectives. And then if you found the one weapon that can kill an abomination, then you go out and find the abomination and kill him, and then run away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's thank you. That does clarify, because we were looking at how does this thing scale? What are we doing wrong? How can we have? I mean, as I say, the first game lasted 20 minutes.
Oh dear.
because it's like I say the first door we opened, we found it was the first spawn.
Mm.
The abomination spawned on one of the spawn points.
Yeah.
Right next to us, and it was like, oh,
run away.
yes, run away very fast.
Yeah.
Basically, we just died very quickly, and it was like, what are we doing wrong? Especially since, we simply just you couldn't keep on top of crowd control.
Mm.
And then it's like, oh, well, hang on a second. If there are more characters playing, then at least you have some sort of fighting chance.
Yeah.
Thank you. That explains a lot.
That's okay. That's a public service announcement.
So that's all that I've been playing. So, Mr. Hobbs, over to you.
Right. Well, before I get into games I've been playing, because I've only played one, I want to give a huge thank you to Mr. Chris Smith, who somehow got my address. I'm looking at you, Mr. Shuck, and sent me a little parcel which contained a couple of books. There was a copy of an RPG supplement called Time Tricks for an old game called Time Master, which I'd never played before. And there was also a copy of Fantasy Wargaming by Bruce Galloway, which was a book that came out in late 70s, early 80s. And it talks about fantasy gaming and, well, basically it talks about role playing. And it's essentially got a whole game included in the book, but it's also got loads of ideas on campaigns and backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. And it's a lovely gift. So thank you very much, Chris. Chris did say that if I wasn't interested in that, I could, pass them on or sell them at an auction or something. So Per instantly jumped on this fact and offered to take Time Tricks off my hand for a donation to charity, which he did. So he gave some money to Henry Hyde's Combat Stress. So thank you, Per, for that. And he's now got Time Tricks, which is the book he needed to complete his collection. And I've got
excellent.
And I've got a little copy of Fantasy Wargaming. So I've decided now that my new little niche hobby of a hobby is to start looking at old Fantasy Wargaming books from the late 70s. Because I've already got Dice in with Dragons, which is the classic, and Henry was selling one off, so I did a little donation to his charity, and I'm picking that book up next week. So that's my new little hobby, Neil. Finding old books on gaming. in the 70s. So again, thank you, Chris.
But specific genre.
Yeah, specific fantasy books.
Ooh.
I don't think there's that many of them. It's probably only 3. I'll probably have those by the next week.
Excellent stuff.
So yeah, that was that. Only played one game, which was last week in the forest, which was Adeptus Titanicus.
Oh wow!
Finally, after having the thing for a year, we played it.
And what's it play like?
It's really good. I think we were all quite impressed. It's a lot more deeper than you think.
Did you have this? Was it one of these things that like you were approaching the game with this, with this horrid feeling in your guts, just in case?
Well, I soloed it, so I knew it was quite good. I soloed it years ago. Well, just after it came out, so I haven't played it for about 9 months. So yeah, there was this sort of horrible feeling that, God, I hope it's good. It didn't let us down. Really, really good, fun game. A lot more depth than you actually think. We did a few things wrong because I was umpiring, and But yeah, great. So I think we'll be playing that again soon.
Excellent.
So what else? Yes.
So what you been painting?
Go on, guess. Can you guess?
I suggest it is possibly something to do with 6mm.
Yep.
And may have the letter V in it somewhere.
V. Thousand Suns. No, there's no V in Thousand Suns. I've been doing my Horus Heresy stuff.
No, sorry, I was thinking Vanguard.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I have been painting up 1 or 2 Vanguard models. A few hundred.
It is terrible when there you are. I really can't explain the kind of mind I'm in at the moment, but I'm really struggling to even think about picking up a paintbrush. And you just look on your Twitter feed, and there is Hobbs, with hundreds and hundreds of miniatures on his desk that he's been, just done this in the last couple of nights. I'm thinking, you are doing so well with those. It's brilliant, mate.
Yeah, I've kind of got the technique right. I can knock them out pretty quick.
Haven't you just done your Warhounds as well?
Yeah, the Warhounds are finished. I need those for the game. I've put together a new Reaver with the extra weapon options.
Oh, these are the ones that. Sorry, these are the ones that the ones that we talked about. You purchasing from Forge World.
Those ones. Plus, I did buy a little while ago. GW have done the extra sprues for the different weapon options.
Oh, okay.
So I picked up a couple of those each. I like to have choice when it comes to weapons, and I've magnetized the things, so I might as well use them. Note to self: when you are magnetizing a Reaver Titan, make sure you got more than 8 magnets.
Right.
Because I didn't.
What size magnets are you using?
They're 5mm by 1mm.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a few more now, thanks to a certain large retail company that does next day delivery. Literally, I ordered them about 10 o'clock at night, and they were here the next morning.
It's one of those hobby emergencies.
Yeah, when you pull out the little packet of magnets from a drawer, open it, and 8 magnets fall out. I thought I had more than that.
So how many magnets do you need for... can you please inform the listeners, and the public service now, how many magnets do you actually need for one Titan?
For one Reaver Titan?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 will do you the carapace and the weapon mounts, and then it's 1 on each weapon.
Right, and how many weapon options have you got?
I've got a few.
A few.
For the Reaver, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ah. Right.
Yeah.
So basically, just under. So basically, you need around 20.
Yeah, about 20 for a full loaded Titan.
Yes, allowing you to use every option. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. So that's been going on. So yeah, it's all been good. I made some buildings up as well, which have been nice and objectives, and I've just been having fun. News has come out that Mr. Vlad from Hardline Miniatures, I think he's called, or Hardline Game, or it's Vlad the painter, who does my 6mm stuff. He has finished my World War II Germans, and they're being posted out. Should be here tomorrow.
Ooh.
Which means that Project Rommel is now go. This is not a drill. I've done my list of what I need. My German force, all 53 bases, just to do a couple of scenarios. So vehicles all painted, scenery bits all painted, figures are now being painted. I've got my pile of 52 bases there, sat ready to go. So this weekend, Project Rommel's a go. Very exciting.
So, what does Project Rommel actually entail?
52 bases of of Germans.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So you're basing the vehicles and
Yeah. So what I'm basically doing is for Rommel. So this is Sam Mustafa's
yes.
game. The units I based up on 70 by 50 bases.
Oh, right. So Vlad's painted the models. He hasn't based them.
Oh, no. Well, Vlad's just done the infantry for me. I've done the rest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I looked at all the infantry. I thought, I can't be.
Yeah.
I can't be. You know, I looked at it, I'm not going to do them.
Life is too short to paint 6mm infantry.
Yeah. There's Germans. They got funny uniforms and stuff. And Vlad likes painting 6mm.
Vlad, can you please write and confirm that to us?
He does. I give him the option. He said, "Oh, I love painting 6mm." So Vlad's not, because Gareth only goes to 15mm plus. You know, so Gareth is my 15mm plus guy. Vlad is not my 6mm guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's getting all my polyversal stuff next.
I'm sure he's looking forward to that.
He is. He's really looking forward to it. So what am I doing? There's two scenarios which I had when I was playtesting, which cover Russia.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So I've taken the obits for those and made a list of what I need, and I shall be basing up all of those. So it's things like I need sort of 30 bases of infantry. Each base will probably have 10 figures on them, and a couple of trucks, or a half track, depending if it's Panzer Grenadiers or normal infantry, or maybe a little support weapon on there. Make a little vignette up, right. Plus all the tanks and the artillery and stuff. So yeah, I'll basically just plow through them all.
Excellent.
And then I can think about doing the Russians. So there we go. Bit long-winded for me, I'm sorry. It was a bit long, but there we go. Lots of things happening.
Excellent stuff. Most excellent.
Have I mentioned I'm off to Lard Island next week?
No, not officially.
No.
You're off to Lard Island next week.
Oh, the sound of your voice. Yeah. Well, me and Henry met up at Christmas, and we said we must get a game in, and we thought, where can we go? And we thought, oh, Lard Island's sort of halfway between us. So we floated the idea past Rich and Nick, and they went, oh, come over. Henry wants to write an article for WSS, so he's looking for some willing gamers, and I'm just going to tag along and play some games and try to keep up with Rich and Nick in the pub.
Do you know how long I've been trying to get a game with Henry?
We're just better organised than you are. I mean, it wasn't that difficult. I just said, Henry, let's get together. And we sent some emails out, we chatted. We're both organised people, Neil. It's not difficult.
What are you trying to say to me, Mr. Hobbs?
You can work on your organisational skills a little bit. I think it's because you've got that sort of high-powered job where you've got to be so organised in work that sometimes it can slip in your personal life.
Oh, that bombshell. Oh, enjoy yourself at Lord Island. I shall look forward to hearing all about it.
I won't remember any of it.
This is true. By the following morning, all the brain cells will be dead. Ah, dearie me.
Shall we move on to the next section?
I think we should. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is proud to be sponsored by Firestorm Games. Whether you need Wargames rules, miniatures, paints, hobby accessories, scenery, board games, card games, all your role-playing needs, and even toys and collectibles, Firestorm Games is your store of choice. Check them out at www.firestormgames.co.uk or at their stores located in Cardiff, Newport and Swindon. Don't forget, if you use the code MEEPLELEAF, that's MEEPLELEAF, all lowercase, you will get an extra discount on your order. Firestorm Games, for all your hobby goodness. And we're back, and it's time for our surprise subject for this show. And at this point, I'll hand over to Mr. Hobbs to introduce it.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. A little while ago, you see, the thing that I love about Twitter is that it's a nice, inclusive place, and we've got a nice little community on Twitter where we all chat and, well, in Aid's case, we take the pee out of each other. But it gives us a chance to chat to people.
And sometimes mark breakfast.
And I do sometimes mark breakfast, but this is a wargaming show, Neil. This is the gaming podcast. Let's concentrate on the gaming. So, been chatting recently to a lovely guy under the Twitter handle of Dirtside. His real name is actually Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
Listen. And Andrew was a very keen 6 mil player. So, Andrew sent me a question, which me and Neil looked at and we thought, we can't really answer that in a tweet. So let's see if we can get about an hour's worth of show out of it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, half hour.
Yeah.
So, the question that Andrew posed us was, Dirtside, Future War Commander, Horizon Wars, or a version of Epic? I'm confused and need guidance. So we thought, well, how can we help Andrew find the game that's right for him? Now, I could just turn around and go, just play Epic. Job done. Or the alternative is just play them all. Or if you don't play them all, just buy them all. But, this is a public service announcement now from M&M Podcast. So we thought we'd just very, very quickly cover those 4 sets of rules. And hopefully at the end of it, Andrew will be able to make his decision. Now, this is niche, Neil, isn't it? We are talking, this is as niche as you get. This is us talking to one guy. If everybody else likes it, brilliant. But Andrew, this part's for you.
6 mil sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, which one shall we do first?
Well, let's start with the beginning of his list, which is Dirtside. So, what do you reckon, about 5 minutes on each one? Pros, cons, what would you like about it?
5 minutes or so.
Also, okay.
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 Yes, 5 minutes-ish.
Okay, let me just start my timer and I'll tell you how long you spoke.
Dear, okay. That's not good. Right, so, Dirtside. Now, Dirtside is from GZG, Ground Zero Games. It is available for download as a free PDF.
Yes.
Comes in 3 parts, plus you can a separate download for counters. Thing I'd forgotten about now.
It's been out for a while, hasn't it? It's
Yeah.
20 years old.
Sorry?
Is it 20 years old? Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it was. Earlier. It's. I mean, it came. I think it actually came. It predates Stargrunt. I think Dirtside came out before Stargrunt. Anyway, but interestingly, a lot of these they share a lot of their systems. So a lot of the mechanics, as far as movement and especially combat, is shared between Stargrunt and Dirtside. So for a start, you're looking at it's a polyhedral dice system. So it measures different troop qualities and different types of different technologies and different types of weapons, and uses different sided dice to represent better or worse grade troops and or weapons. So an average trooper or an average unit will roll a D8. If it's an elite unit, it will perhaps roll a D10.
And it's opposed rolls, isn't it?
It's opposed rolls. It's opposed rolls.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Ground Zero games have a background sci-fi universe. Remember, this is okay. So this is hard sci-fi. Okay, just to make the distinction here, this is not fantasy sci-fi. This is hard sci-fi. So it's very much human v human combat. And they have their own universe, which they have developed, which is consistent between Dirtside, Full Thrust, and Stargrunt, and they have their own miniatures ranges. However, the thing that I'd actually forgotten about Dirtside is that the first couple of chapters of Dirtside. It is designed to be in 6mm. It is described as a combined operations game. Okay, so it is designed to be to fully integrate infantry, armor, artillery, and air/space warfare, orbital warfare, rather than space orbital. Okay, so that's what it's designed to do, and the first part of the rulebook is all about designing vehicles. It basically turns around and says, yeah, we have a background, and within that we've designed stuff, but we've developed a game system where basically you can turn around and sort out what you want. So the first thing you do is design. It's like, okay, you've got your forces. I want to design a vehicle. So you've got things. So you've got things like, what sort of propulsion does it use? Is it wheeled? Is it a ground effect? Is it an anti-grav? Then what's it armed with? How many of what it? Has it multiple different weapon systems? How many of each system does it have? So, for example, you could have like a turret with a dual weapon system. It's the same type of gun twice. Funny enough, actually, that does make a difference because, like for example, if you have a vehicle with multiple weapon systems, you can only fire with one weapon system during a combat activation. So the first thing you can, so essentially, although it's GZG, it is an open system. So you can design whatever you like, and it's all there. All the rules are there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an alternate unit activation, as far as gameplay is concerned. There is quite a few rules surrounding command and control, because obviously it's it's not a skirmish game. It's designed as a at a higher level, but it's also designed to get. It's primarily aimed, I think, at vehicle combat. okay, infantry are included, but it's very much more, whereas Stargrunt is an infantry, is very much, although it has vehicles, it's very much an infantry skirmish game.
Yeah.
Dirtside is designed as a vehicle game with added infantry and artillery, and aircraft or orbital vehicles. But it's designed primarily, and of course that is apparent from the fact that the first thing you've got is all your vehicle design rules. So, as I say, it uses a very similar combat system to what I think we talked about. I think we recently talked about Stargrunt again.
We do need to do proper reviews, I think, of Dirtside and Stargrunt. Proper in-depth reviews.
Yeah, really I did do a review of Stargrunt a long time ago. I mean, we are talking either in single or early double figure episode, because historically it has been one of my favourite skirmish sci-fi games. But yeah, we do need to come back and revisit and look at this properly. But yeah, the thing that surprised me with Stargrunt is that I'd forgotten it's an open system. Yes, they turn around and say, we have our own universe, but basically you can take whatever models you have and design your vehicles accordingly, and they get pointed up depending on and then you're away. So if you happen to like the fact that it's alternate unit activation and it's opposed dice rolling, and the dice works out on target numbers where it's the dice that change. You don't have to add and subtract a load of modifiers.
Yeah.
The modifiers change the dice number of sides on the dice that you roll, and then more often than not you're either rolling as a target number or rolling an opposed dice roll. It makes life very dynamic, and everybody's constantly involved in the game.
Yeah,
that's Dirtside.
Yeah, I do wonder about using Dirtside, using my old Spartan Games models.
Yeah, of course, yes. The Planetfall stuff.
Yeah.
With Dirt. Oh, now that's an interesting idea, because you've got everything in there.
Yeah. I mean, Planetfall is still a good game.
Oh yeah.
I've got the armies. Yeah, definitely.
That is a brilliant idea, because you do have mechs. I'm pretty sure you have mechs in. I have to go. I mean, I only read I only revisited the rules earlier this afternoon, but I'll have to go back and check. I'm pretty sure you do have the option to add mechs, obviously, because Planetfall does have mechs in it.
Yeah.
Dirtside, it's comprehensive. Anything pretty much as far that you can think of from a weapons and propulsion point of view for sci-fi vehicles, it kind of caters for.
Yeah, and it does have that bonus of, okay, there's ready-made army list in there that you can use. They've got all the figures, but it's an open system, so you can design your own as well. So, win-win.
Yeah. That is a brilliant idea, mate. I'm well impressed with that. Well done.
Yeah, I wish you one. Okay, so
so that's Dirtside.
Yeah. So the next one, really, on Andrew's list, Future War Commander. Now, I haven't played this one, but I have played the World War II version.
Blitzkrieg Commander, which has just come out in, is it version 4? I think it's version 4, which is now owned by
Pendragon,
yes. Yeah. Now, I've just gone back and looked this up. Now, I think I played Future War Commander once. My main experience with the Blitzkrieg, the Commander series, as it is known, is actually with Cold War Commander, rather than Blitzkrieg Commander. So we played the Cold War version.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's the same game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically the same game, but it's just subtle tweaks, isn't there?
Yeah, it's subtle tweaks. The big thing is The command system is exactly the same.
Mm.
The casualty resolution is exactly the same. It is a common system, and the thing to note about the Commander series is that going back, it is effectively based on War Master.
Mm.
Inspired mechanics.
Inspired mechanically, yeah.
Yeah, mechanically. So basically, the command system works the same as War Master. And funnily enough, how now things like Hail Caesar use similar style mechanics. So you have your armies commanded in sections. Each of and then you roll to activate a commander, and then anything that he commands can then be activated. Casualties, you either kill a unit or it fully recovers at the end of the turn.
Yeah,
I know this is something we always found a bit. I don't know. It was just one of those things. Concentration of fire is paramount in this game. Because if you just cause wounds but you don't kill a unit, those wounds come off at the end of the turn. And the unit is back up to full strength. Again, the big thing is you're rolling to activate commands. It's an I go, you go.
Yeah.
Within that. So so you roll to activate each of your commanders in turn. And then as long as you've activated your commander, people get to do stuff. And there is a potential push your luck element to this as well, so you can potentially activate units multiple times, but units become more difficult to activate. It's a buckets of dice game as well.
Mm-hmm. It's all D6, isn't it?
All D6. Yeah, it's a D6 game. It's a bucket of dice. It can be played at actually 3 different levels. It's designed to be played at 3 different levels. So it can be played as a base equals a platoon, which is what the game is designed for, but it can actually be played at a base as a squad or an individual vehicle, or even you can play at 1 base as a soldier.
Yeah.
So you can actually play at skirmish level, but it is designed to be 1 base is 1 platoon, and it is in the base game. Ground scale is 1 centimetre equals 20 metres in the platoon scale game. So, for example, when we were doing Cold War Commander, you were getting realistic ranges. Yeah, we were playing in 3mm in Cold War Commander. So you did end up in a situation where the actual range, ground scale, works 1-to-1 in 3mm. So it's 6mm is the original design of the game.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, I think it's I think it is a roll to hit, roll to ruin, roll to save sort of thing.
Yeah. That rings a bell. I mean, if you look at Future War Commander and Dirtside, which are probably out of the list that Andrew gave us, 2 games which I suppose are sort of similar-ish. In so much that they're both hard sci-fi, similar sort of scale games.
I would actually. Well, we'll come on to that because Future War Commander is not hard. Is not just hard sci-fi.
Oh yeah,
we'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah. There's different army lists you can buy for different things. But I always thought I haven't played Dirtside. I played Blitzkrieg Commander. I thought it was a perfectly good game. But it was a bit light, I think, for me. I think there were games I would play in. But I know it's got a big community around it. There's a lot of people who like it. Well-produced game. I think Pendraken's done a good job, from what I've heard of the new version. Yeah,
I believe the original Future War Commander is still available as a PDF. I think you can go hold of it. Now, the one thing with Future War Commander, is okay. So you have 11 scenario, 11 because again it is scenario based primarily. Although you have obviously the standard meeting engagement, but it has 11 scenarios in the game. it has 41 army lists. Now, from 15 different manufacturers, it states. Okay, so basically, if you remember, Future War Commander came out not too long after Epic was ceased to be supported.
Yeah.
And then one thing they did with Future War Commander is it was designed as 6mm, and they basically looked at every 6mm sci-fi range that was on the market at the time the rules were published, and tried to do army lists for them.
Yeah.
So you've got rules that effectively cover races from Epic. You've got army lists that cover Commander Horizon.
Mm.
So the Commander Horizon from the old Bacchus game that has since been bought and redone completely. Those forces are in there. So all the GZG forces are in there, and basically it's comprehensive. They went through and went, okay, right, what can we find for 6mm? So they basically turned around and said, okay, we have produced a game system. If you own one of these, one of these armies, you can play our rules with them.
Yep.
And I know a lot of its original popularity came about because it was a different set of rules to play with people's Epic armies.
Yeah. Yeah, and it did work. I think I actually looked at it because of that.
And of course, it was because it was mechanics that were familiar to Games Workshop players because of the way War Master is built, for example. It's D6, similar family of games. Not a million miles away removed from what you're already familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a good all-round game.
Yeah, as you say, possibly a little light.
Mm-hmm. I don't mean that in a bad way.
No. I found it one of the more gamey of the systems.
Mm.
You really do have to, as I say, it's especially with the way that casualty resolution works. You really do have to be a little bit gamey, if you like, with the way you work combat.
Mm.
However, that aside, perfectly decent game.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Before we get to the epic, the next one on Andrew's list,
Horizon Wars.
Yes.
Now you might remember we back in the day when this first came out, we interviewed Roby Jenkins, the author of Horizon Wars, on the show, and I might even get an episode number for you at some point. and I also have a review of these rules on the Meeples and Miniatures site. Strange though it may be. Right, give me one. So it was back in episode 169. Cool. 2006. So Horizon Wars came out in 2016. It's from Osprey Games. But yeah, we had an interview with Roby Jenkins in episode 169. As I say, I've also had I've done a review on the site for Horizon Wars. Another open system.
Mm. This is a little bit different because it's pretty much mech combat, isn't it?
It's designed primarily around mech. Yeah, it's basically mech combat and supporting vehicles.
Yeah.
Supporting units. Because you can potentially play infantry as well. But yeah, primarily it's all about the mechs.
Yeah.
So just as an overview, some of the main differences with Horizon Wars. It's a D12 based system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need at least 10 in 2 different colours. You've got 4 types of units: infantry vehicles, mechs, and aircraft. Okay. You've got its alternate unit activation. and you can have 2 actions per activation.
Mm.
You don't have you don't have stipulated weapons ranges. You have minimum and maximum range. So you have an effective range, and then you roll dice dependent on the firepower you have. So the combat system is slightly different than what you may be used to. So yeah, I think of all the, Dirtside has a unique combat mechanic. Horizon Wars is another one that has a unique combat mechanic, which will require different types of dice as opposed to just D6. Again, it's a scenario-based game. You have, in the original game, it's fairly generic forces. Again, it's hard sci-fi, so it's designed around human v human combat. 3 different types of mechs, only 5 different types of vehicles, so that it's kind of generic descriptions of vehicles. So whereas Dirtside is very prescriptive in what, and you can design vehicles from the ground, really be ultra anal if you wish. In how you design vehicles, you can put whatever weapons you like on them. In this, it tends to be much more like medium battle tank, heavy battle tank sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mechs are customizable, but other elements not so much. Now again, it has its own universe background, which also includes suggested force building, but it is an open system. I noted at the time that the two interesting exceptions to what the rules had, it didn't have any form of morale system in it, which apparently was intended. And the original rules didn't have any rules about cover, which should now be an FAQ. But as Mike, you just said, there's a new there's an expansion.
Yeah, it's called Over the Horizon. It's available on War Games Vault, and I think it includes lots of extra rules, weird weapons. Also got solar rules in there as well. Playing it, so that was quite interesting. One thing you can say about this is it's very well supported. Toby's done a really good job in supporting this. He's got his own site, lots of little expansions on there and extra rules, and he's very good at supporting the game. So, yeah, it's I haven't played it. I've got the rules. I've read through them. They're really nicely produced, as you'd expect. But he's done something a little bit different, and it's well worth taking a look at.
Oh yeah, it's a decent game. Horizon Wars is a decent game. It's slightly different take, and to be fair, it's nice to have a different set of mechanics to use. And that's the interesting thing about the 4 sets of rules that we are talking about here. Funnily enough, you could play, and we'll come on to Epic in a second, but you can play all 4 sets of rules with the same army.
Yeah.
Because the other 3 sets of rules, other than the one we're about to talk about, are open enough that the army will fit in. Because let's face it, if we're talking Horizon Wars like we are at the moment, if you want a mech, well, hang on a second, redefine what a Titan is.
Yeah, it's a mech.
It's a mech. So, there you go. But no, Horizon Wars perfectly different system.
Yeah, definitely well worth looking at.
Which leaves us with when it comes to 6mm sci-fi, the elephant in the room, and somebody's one true love.
Indeed. So, just to get back to Andrew's message.
Mr. Hobbs.
Versions of Epic, you say. Okay, so let's chat about Epic then, Andrew. And anybody else who's listening. Okay, so For those people who know nothing at all about Epic, where have you been for the last 30 years? Epic originally came out in the late 80s. It was around until the beginning of the noughties. It went through various iterations, and then it basically stopped being supported by GW and Forge World. There was two main versions of it. There was the classic Space Marine Second Edition, and then there was Epic Armageddon. Well, between those two, there was a game called Epic 40,000, which was out for a short period of time, but then it moves into Epic Armageddon. Those two games, Space Marine and Epic Armageddon, have been carried on by the community. So there are still available free versions of both of those rules, which have been updated to include the extra new armies that GW have released over the last 20 years. And they're both really worth looking into, both for free. So let's look at Net Epic first, I think. The classic one. So, okay. It's 40k universe. It's 6 mil. It allows you to play big battles using that. The thing with Net Epic that I like, the one cool rule in there is the orders. Your unit, it's a unit-based game. So you'll have a unit of stands, of individual bases that make up a unit. You give them an order. So you've got little order tokens you put down at the beginning of each turn next to each one of your units. And then you do an initiative phase, and then you start a movement phase, and in that movement phase you alternate turning over one order at a time. And if it's got a movement order, like a charge or a maneuver, you carry out that movement. If it's a first fire order, you don't do anything. You wait until the combat section. If it's so you've got a bit of bluff and double bluff, because obviously you want to move your stuff after your opponent's moved, so you can attack them. And it's a lovely alternating system. Fairly simple combat. It's the thing with Net Epic is that each base in that unit is individual, that you fire each base at a time. And if a unit, or if a model in that unit has got more than one weapon, you can fire all of those weapons at different targets if you wanted to. So it's quite in-depth. The thing you'll find about it is when you scale it up and you play a big game, it can take a while. I mean, a standard game will probably take you about 3 to 4 hours to play, but you've got a lot of units there to play with. It's quite a big, quite stunning to look at game. But it's been carried on, and because I came into Space Marine early on, it's the game I love. But then there's Epic Armageddon, which came out. It was the last iteration, completely different game, and I probably never gave it. I probably should have spent more time on Epic Armageddon. Looking back at it, I think I've done a lot of disservice because it's actually a really good game, and I've always put it down because it wasn't Space Marine. But the differences are, again, it's a unit-based game. The way you put your army together is slightly different. It's slightly looser. But when you fire, you activate units independently. So you activate units. They can do one thing, so you don't have to give them orders. Units will fire as a whole against a target. I think there's probably some specific rules that allow you to do a bit of split fire if you want to, but generally, it's a unit-on-unit game. And the one good thing, or one of the best things I like about it, is this blast market idea, which is similar to the shock idea that you have in the Lardies rules.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you're piling on blast markers onto units, which cause them to run away. And if you fire at a unit, even if you can't damage that unit, you still put a blast marker on it. So it sort of represents the suppression aspect that you get, and the fact that troops won't move or activate if they're being fired upon. And at the time, I just thought, no, I don't like that. But looking back on it now, that's a great idea. It's a great mechanic. And this came out late 80s? No, sorry, late 90s. It's also a quick game. You tend to find that the armies in Epic Armageddon are smaller than you tend to get in Net Epic. So it's easy to get into. That's the point. If I was coming into 6mm Sci-Fi and I liked the 40k universe, I would look at Net Epic Armageddon first before Net Epic.
As opposed to then looking at Dirtside Titanicus.
Oh, Dirtside Titanicus is a completely different game. Big stompy titans in it. For a sort of general mixed arms.
Combined arms. Okay, as a sci-fi combined arms game.
If I wanted to play in the 40k universe, I would look at Net Epic.
Yeah.
So I would look at Epic Armageddon first, because I think there's a lot more people playing it. There's tournaments being held. It's a quicker game. You'll probably play a game in an hour and a half to 2 hours. It has that feel. It's easy to get into, and then you then got Net Epic alongside, which you can use the same models for. It's a more in-depth game, so you get more out of it. Tactically, Net Epic is better, but it's better because it's got a lot more depth to it, I think. And that's not putting Armageddon down. It's just the different sides of the coin. I think that's the only way to describe it. So
yeah,
it's quite hard with Andrew's question. I don't think Andrew's asking us to pick which one is the best, because we can't, because we've all got our own choices. But you've got 5 different games there. 3 of those games you can play with the same figures quite easily. To be honest with you, if you've got an epic army, they will fit quite merrily into Horizon Wars, Future War Command, definitely. And you could probably start at Dirtside as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Dirtside thing, Dirtside would certainly cater for Horus Heresy. Fantasy side, I think you'd be struggling a bit more. But certainly Horus Heresy is you could do in Dirtside without too much of a problem.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know if you've answered your question, Andrew, but hopefully we can give you a little bit more idea on those 5 different games. Given a choice, I think, I don't know, pick the one you like. I mean, the good thing is, Dirtside, you can get the rules for nothing. Future War Commander, you can probably hunt down a PDF. Horizon Wars isn't that expensive to pick up. And the 2 versions of Epic are also free.
I must admit, and again, this is where it comes down to personal preference. Given the choice, Hobbsy might end up picking one of the Epics. Personally, I'm more inclined to go towards Dirtside. But that's just, given the choice. But they all have their merits.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of choice. And to be fair, none of those rules will break the bank.
But they're all excellent games. And this is the good thing about this sort of 6mm sci-fi stuff. There's a lot of good games out there. And they all scratch different itches.
And actually, it's worth asking, guys, if there's a 6mm system obviously, we've just chosen 4 or 5 based on the question we were asked. If there are other systems out there that you think we should have mentioned or that are worth a look, and we haven't talked about, let us know. We'd be very happy to discover something else.
So now we've sort of talked about it, let's chuck some questions between ourselves. So, out of those games, which one do you think would be the easiest one to pick up and play?
Ooh.
I think I'd probably go for Future War Commander. Or maybe Horizon Wars.
I would probably actually suggest Horizon Wars. Because despite the different game mechanics as far as the different dice you use and stuff, the system is it's not complex. Dirtside
No.
is not a simple game. Because of the options it gives you, those options have their own complexity attached. Once you get the head around what everything does, and essentially, like for your vehicles, you end up basically creating a data card for your vehicle. So once you've got the data card of your vehicle and what everything does, then it's easier to work out. But it takes a bit of getting your head round because of it has some complex interactions with the way the design works, and then the way that subsequently operates within a system.
Yeah, I think if, as you say, there's a lot of similarity between Dirtside and Stargrunt with the mechanics. And I've only played Stargrunt, but what I found from the games of Stargrunt, it's a game that rewards the investment of time.
Yes.
I think the more you play these games, the more you pick up on the subtle rules that are in there.
Whereas if you wanted something that was kind of, quick pick up and play, you're probably aiming a lot more towards Commander Horizon and dare I say Epic. It is a less complex.
Yeah, I mean the Epic Armageddon is a great game to pick up, and that's why they're playing tournaments of it, because it is, simple mechanics. The complexity is in the special rules you might have for the different units. But, smaller games where you've only got half a dozen types of figures probably in your force, it's not that difficult to remember. And the same with Net Epic, again, there's a lot of complexity in there, but you've only got a certain number of types of units, you soon remember them. So, the thing I like about Net Epic is you get cards. You get cards for each unit, which give you the rules. So it's all there. So it's really speeds up play. And with any of these games where you've got lots and lots of different so you've got lots and lots of different stats per unit, there's nothing worse than thumbing back and forth through a rulebook trying to find the stats for a particular unit. So having everything on a card really speeds up play. So Dirtside, you have to do that for Dirtside. So Dirtside you have to do a bit of work for, but it's well worth the reward. Horizon Wars is a good game to get into. Nice mechanics, well supported. A little bit different. The new supplement allows you to play dinosaurs, which is not a bad thing. Future War Commander, again, a good solid game. So, I don't know if we've helped you, Andrew.
Well, yes. Hopefully we've just kind of clarified the
giving you more
somewhat.
to think about. Yeah.
More, yes, quite, yeah. With every game, it boils down to what you enjoy in a game. The sort of rules that float your boat. They're all they're all different. They all have their own merits.
Indeed.
Right. Well, there you go. So what we'll do, we'll take a quick break. Thank you very much for the question, Andrew. Really appreciate it. If anybody else has a question that they want to ask us, and we can, we could have a section on, similar sort of thing. Potentially, for a particular period, what set of rules would you choose? We'd be quite happy to delve into something like this, and maybe even bring along another specialist guest to help us with that decision. But please feel free. We'd love to hear from you.
So, time to wrap this up and
this
chat
thing
about
up.
Dave. What's Dave been buying this week?
So, here we are again at the end of the show, and before we leave you, it is time to answer that age-old question of what's Dave bought this week.
Oh, for new listeners, we should probably explain who Dave is.
Indeed, yes. My other mate, Dave, to clarify,
To clarify, there are 2 Daves.
So, yes. What was this? These like 6 degrees of separation, isn't it? That most people's social circles have 2 degrees of separation between, before you know a Dave.
Yeah.
I happen to game with 2 different Daves. Okay. One is Dave Luff. The other is Dave Hickman, and although he's known as my other mate Dave, I've actually known Dave Hickman longer than I've known Dave Luff, because I've worked with Dave Hickman since 2005. So yeah, 14 years. Good grief.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Now Dave. Yes, my other mate Dave has, although he's been a PC gamer ever since I've known him, he has recently got into the tabletop hobby, like within the last couple of years, and has quickly disappeared down the rabbit hole in various different game systems, to the point where he is sometimes his purchases are legendary, or have become legendary in certain circles, because let's face it, the gentleman is committed.
He's very, very committed.
Indeed. So when he decides that he wants the game, he wants the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, I have a surprise for you. In fact, make sure you're sitting down for this one.
I am sat down.
We went to Partizan.
Yeah.
Dave came away. The only thing he bought was a sausage bap.
Big fun.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Dave didn't buy anything at all at the Other Partizan this weekend. Not only was I in shock, but Dave's fame, they may not really, well, I think he's beginning to realise it now, that his fame has spread far and wide.
Yeah.
Because every time we greeted somebody throughout the day, it was, hello Neil, hello Dave, Dave, where's your bag?
Well,
and other than the fact of turning around and saying he stood right next to me, I'll give you that one for free.
Yep.
Dave didn't buy anything all day.
Wow.
It's the first game show that I remember him going to that he hasn't actually gone and bought something.
Was he twitching at the end? Was he?
We were having a philosophical discussion on this towards the end of the day, and again, a bit like me, I suppose it was a case of, because he has been, he has
bought a few things.
Yeah. Over the last few months. Mm. He was, to be perfectly honest, at this point in time, he found that there was nothing that he necessarily wanted.
So he's bought all of Gangs of Rome.
He's having a slight hiatus on Gangs of Rome, but I think primarily because we talked to him and saying we need to play it more.
Mm.
He has obviously recently bought some more stuff for Cool Seas, and funnily enough, he's not been painting. It's been 3 months since he's painted anything, but. As I saw on Monday, even Dave has got paint on models because he's been starting to paint his Cool Seas fleets. So even he's now beating me on painting. but yeah, he said he was just at that point that at this very moment in time, on that day, he found that there was nothing that he wished to purchase.
Wow.
However, the fact that he'd just gone all in on Etherfields may have had something to do with it.
Oh. Okay.
So perhaps the issue wasn't just the fact that he didn't find anything, but was the fact that it might have been slightly budget related.
Yeah. Okay.
So what Dave bought this week, yeah, and of course, where some of us kind of back into a Kickstarter and then work out what else we want to get when it comes to kind of fulfilling the pledge manager.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And therefore, amongst other things, it helps do things like spread the cost.
Yeah.
No, Dave wants to go the easy way and puts everything in up front. No, that's what I'm pledging. Bang. That's what I want.
But then you don't get the giddy feel of looking for a pledge manager thinking, oh, okay, get that. Go on, I'll just get that. It's not that much because I've done the pledge already. Just a few extras.
It's just a few extras.
Just a few extras. Yeah.
It's only a couple of extras.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, well, I'm shocked.
Yeah, most people were, which is quite funny because, as I say, Dave has been a feature on the show for not that long.
No.
But obviously, his hobbying has become legendary.
Yeah.
A legend in his own lunchtime. But there we are. That's excellent stuff. So that is what's Dave bought this week, and here we are at the end of the show. So I don't think I've got anything else to cover. Have you, Mr. Hobbs?
No.
Oh, just had a blip. Just had a blipping connection. Okay.
No, nothing else to mention. It's been a nice little show. We finished 10:30. It's quite early.
It's an hour earlier than normal.
Yeah.
I'm in shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that remains to be said is thank you to Mr. Hobbs for joining me.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, thank you for the chat and enjoyed it, mate. Thank you to everybody for listening. Once again, thank you to everyone who came over and said hi. I managed to grab and have a chat with at Partizan last weekend. Too numerous to mention now, but I just want to say thank you. It's great to catch up with everybody. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. So, until next time, take care, everybody. Happy gaming. We'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media, and here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.